And we're back for the rest of episode 49. And we're back. All right. Why not Company X? I'm a senior in college going through the job application process and got asked a question I wasn't entirely sure about how to respond by a recruiter. After telling them about my intern experience, they asked why I wasn't returning to the same company. Thing is, I didn't receive a return offer. I think this was because I started later than all the other interns. So when the company was deciding who to extend offers to, I only had been around for about a month and hadn't had time to form strong relationships or progress my projects much. At the end of my term, my manager said he was happy with my performance, but they just didn't have any positions open. The company hasn't had any job postings since then, so I'm pretty confident I wasn't passed up on due to performance. Moving forward, when a recruiter or an interviewer asks why I'm not returning to the same company, what should I tell them? Should I explain that timing may have played a factor, or should I just say I'm exploring my options? You could say you're exploring your options, but what I would say is just say that they didn't have any positions available. Is what I'd say. And then maybe also if that you said you put in some great work and you got some great feedback from that manager, maybe ask them if you can put them down as a reference, and then you can have them also share exactly what they said, that they didn't have any positions available, that they really liked you, and that you're a good hire. So, yeah, I wouldn't really shy away from it. I interned for companies I didn't want to work for after graduating. Some people say don't mention you didn't get an offer, just sell yourself on your performance during your internship. Well, it's the reality is that some companies don't have return offers. Somebody said, tell them the truth. You learned a lot, enjoyed your time with the company, and received positive reviews of your performance. Unfortunately, the company didn't have any full time openings available at the conclusion of your internship. That's the truth. That's what I would tell them. This happens sometimes. It just happens. So, yeah, I wouldn't really be too hard on yourself for it, or really think it's a potential negative thing, that this speaks negatively on you at all. I think it's just one of those things that happens. All right, next question. Coworker only uses speakerphone and expects us to be quiet. So we used to be in separate cubicles, but recently our company changed the layout and there's 5 of us sharing one small area. We call them bullpens. Yep, I worked in a bullpen. In my bullpen, one of my coworkers only uses his speakerphones. He never picks up the handset. This wouldn't be too much of an issue, except when he joins online meetings, he still uses the speaker and expects everyone around him to be dead silent. I have my own work to do, and it usually involves discussing some matters with other coworkers. Myself and others in my pen have tried telling him to simply use the headset instead, but he insists that it's a respect thing and that we should be silent. Is there any ideas on how to solve this? Someone had an idea of printing off phone etiquette panels and handing them out. Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's not a respect thing. If anything, it's a disrespect thing on his part, that he thinks that his his calls and his time is so important that you guys need to just basically be quiet and stop doing what you're doing so that he can do what he's doing. That's very disrespectful on his part. So if it was a respect thing, then he wouldn't be behaving the way that he's behaving. What I do is I just share with the supervisor, yours, his, if they're the same one, they'll deal with it. But yeah, that's absolute nonsense that they think that this is even remotely okay at all. It's just not right. Comment says, talk to the supervisor, yours or his. That is asinine behavior. Suggest they get him a headset or headphones. Oh, he already has it though. It's a respect thing. He's in the meeting. He has to respect everyone else getting their work done. Head or handset, or he books a breakout room. Full stop. Exactly. No, you don't get to control the noise level in the general area that you work in just because you are unwilling to use the headset that's provided to you. So no, coworker only uses a speakerphone and expects us to be quiet. Man, that should go in LinkedIn lunatics. All right. And for the last question, would you become an operator for higher pay? All right, let's see what they have to say. A friend of mine just left his EIT rotation to work as a full-time operator, making over $150,000 Canadian. He was making $87,000 before. Would you have made this move? His new role as an oil field operator is remote, but they're also providing free housing, not as a camp, but an actual house. I can't help but feel kind of jealous. Like, I know he just abandoned his engineering career, but at the same time, he's nearly doubled his salary and he's only 23. Operators at my site are also making much more than engineers after OT. Is that a common theme in the industry? Well, I think that there's an argument to be made that, him being an operator would make him a better engineer. Um, maybe, but but yeah, it's not completely unreasonable that he's making more than an entry-level engineer as an operator, because he's probably working overtime, working extra hours that you're not working as an engineer. I'd say that I probably wouldn't become an operator for higher pay, especially if I thought that it might take away from my ability to be an engineer in my career. I just feel like there's a additional level of mobility upward that you can have in your career as a engineer as opposed to being an operator. And unless you're just doing operator as part of a designed program to go learn how operators work and stuff like that first, and then go become an engineer as part of like a rotation, I probably wouldn't make that switch over to being an operator, because I feel like it could potentially limit my career development. So, hey, money now, maybe that's what they needed, is they needed a little bit more money now. It's kind of hard to turn down $150,000 a year, but what is his work life like? What are his hours? Does he have good balance? And what's the long-term stability and trajectory for his growth in that position? I don't know. Let's see what the comments say. Shift schedule. Do you value work-life balance? Operations are much more demanding. One of my best friends from undergrad, Kemi, quit after 3 years of petro process engineering and started doing paintless dent removal. He made $330,000 last year. Yeah, that's there's other things you can do that aren't engineering. You can make a good career of, but if you want to have a career as an engineer, then you might just want to stick with engineering. I don't think I would become an operator for higher pay, but maybe when presented the opportunity, I would look at it differently. All right, guys. Well, that is the podcast. For those of you that watched it live and tried to watch it live, I'm sorry that we got all disjointed. But for those of you that are listening to audio cuts, you probably won't even hear this cut. I'll probably cut it out. But thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast. If you want to be featured in the podcast or have a question that you want answered, you can feel free to write me in at daniel@ENGineeringsuccess.com. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Make sure you share it with your friends if you think that they'll benefit from this content, or if you just want to tell them about how you disagree with my opinion or agree with my opinion, feel free to share it with one of your friends. And as always, I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
We miscommunicating, I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Now I'm not complaining, My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station. Same shit, different day, I'm just trying to get paid. Yeah. I'ma stay in the shade so they can't see my face. Yeah. Only blow if I know that I got the right strain. Yeah. When I blow, then I know that I did it my way. Yeah. Everybody asks me why I'm up so late, man. They think I'm insane, I just wanna create, man. No angel dust till the boy cremated. In heaven with Mr. Cobain, sedated. But that's not for a long time. Cardi for the long nights, party for the hard times. On time at the wrong time. Why the fuck would I try to quantize my jawline? Speeding on the feeder, cause I promised I'd be on time. And I said it last time, it's gotta be the last time. You can play this song if you ever got a bad vibe. Say I'm acting moody cause I've been stuck like Mad Eye. Miss the times when I had nap time, it's